All right, welcome to another Seek Out the Adventure video where you will be inspired to live an unusual and exciting life. Today, I'm super psyched to do an unboxing and first impressions video on the new Petzl NEOX. If you're familiar with the Petzl GRIGRI, a cam-assisted blocking belay device, the NEOX looks almost identical to it, yet it has some different features that we'll go into. But on the packaging, they're promoting it as a belay device with cam-assisted blocking optimized for lead belaying. Why is that? We'll figure that out. Weight-wise, 235 grams. Rope compatibility, 8.5 millimeter to 11 millimeter. It says here that it feeds slack easily. It's kind of alluding to something there in the middle. And then on the back, you're seeing some more hints of what makes this different than the GRIGRI, some sort of a spinning wheel. So let's bust into this a little bit. If you're one of those environmentalists, the nice thing is they did away with the plastic in their packaging, and it makes it a lot easier. I don't know if you've unpackaged a GRIGRI, but it used to have this like plastic plug and you had to use some pen to poke it out or something. But here you go, the Petzl NEOX, complete with a spinning wheel. So the theory behind the wheel is it allows the rope to pass through a lot more fluidly through the device. It makes it to where you don't even have to use that specialized GRIGRI belay technique where you tuck your finger under here and throttle the cam. You can just use traditional belay techniques, never really having to touch the device, just pulling and pushing rope through the device, and it slides through super smooth. So let's do a bit of comparison. I've got the GRIGRI right here. So pretty much they look the same from the outside for the most part. You'll notice that the NEOX is a bit larger than the GRIGRI. Again, we read that it was 235 grams compared to the GRIGRI, which is 175 grams. So a definite weight difference, and you can see that there is a size difference. There's just a slight more bulk to the NEOX. Same aluminum side plate with the flange that you can use your index finger to steady the device as you see fit. For the most part, looks about the same here, except you start noticing the difference with the spinning wheel inside versus the standard cam. On the back side, you've got the handles. The cool thing about this handle is it is now made with recycled plastics. And then the difference is when you open the two up, you'll see the wheel versus the solid cam. Also, similarity is that they still both give the same camming action, regardless of the fact that it has the wheel. So very similar devices in the sense of what they look like, how they feel in the hand, and for the most part, how they belay to a certain extent. Like I said, this is going to give you, in theory, a smoother belay experience, especially when you're not using the specialized GRIGRI technique. It's so smooth that you're rarely even going to need it. And in personal experiences, I found that using that specialized technique, it makes that experience not as enjoyable as if you were to do it on this device. Just full disclosure, I've been playing around with an early version of this device for the last year, getting familiar with it and everything, and then this is now my first full production device, and I've yet to take it to the crag and use it. So yeah, first impression of the final version, even though I've had a year of experience with the general concept. In terms of how it functions, like as you can tell, there's this spinning wheel, but you'll notice that it can jump off of its axis. And what happens is that when it jumps off of its axis, it'll spin until some internal stoppers stop it from spinning right there. I can't spin it anymore. And then that's what causes it to then start acting like a regular GRIGRI, where the cam then pivots and pinches the rope. So let's throw a few ropes into these and do some side-by-side comparisons. I also have the GRIGRI Plus so that we can do all sorts of different first impression comparisons. We're just going to do a quick little passing of the rope through each three of the devices. The GRIGRI Plus is set in lead mode, which is comparable to standard and only modes of the other devices. I've got all three devices here loaded up with a very used 9.2 millimeter rope. So with the GRIGRI Plus, you know, if I'm not going too fast, I can get it to slide through again 9.2. again, but if I get a little jolty, so how about this one? Again, if you find the sweet spot, you can get the rope to pass through quite nice, but once you start doing any sudden yanks, it's going to be locking up more. It's quite responsive on the rope. Then with the NEOX, you do feel a huge difference. You can see that wheel spinning if I slow it down. But yeah, huge difference. And then again, I'm doing the same yanking, got it to catch there, but it's getting really hard to get that to go. It has to sense some tension for it to, but if I'm pushing that slack in, it doesn't even want to catch it. So I've got to have it just a little minuscule amounts of tension and it'll then lock up. Let's put a big bloated rope in it. All right, we now have all three devices loaded up with a fat, old, bloated 10 millimeter. It's at least 10 millimeters. It could be 10.1 or 10.2. I'm not sure. Again, it's a very old, just fatty. So let's see how we experience the rope passing through with each one, starting with the GRIGRI Plus. Again, in lead mode. But as I sit here and remember how I was able to just slowly pass the other rope, the 9.2 through, like this is very hard to get it to pass through. All right, regular GRIGRI. Slow, you can feel the friction in it, you know, it's squeezing up on the sides and everything, but I'm managing. I'm feeling like I have to use a little bit more muscle, but I can, there we go, I can kind of speed it up, but it's definitely locking up a lot easier when I give it some quick action or any tension on the brake strand. All right, now the NEOX. Holy night and day difference. Look how fast I can go. Huge difference. Can you believe that? Again, it'll still lock up, but man, you could just sit there and pay out slack for days with those fat ropes. So overall, I am seriously impressed with the side-by-side comparison with the fat ropes. None of the testing that we've done so far has compared doing this method. But let's do that real quick. So if I'm doing that method with the GRIGRI Plus, you know, feels the same. You're just pulling and wearing out your shoulder and elbow, but it's working. Really hard though. That was kind of tiring. All right, and then with the GRIGRI, doing the specialized technique, feels easier than the GRIGRI Plus. Again, you feel that strain on your elbow and shoulder. All right, and then doing the specialized technique with the NEOX, it pretty much requires the same effort as the GRIGRI. What I'm noticing, I'm camming it down, I'm pulling it, and you can see that wheel, I'm raising that wheel up, which then puts it in its lock mode, and then I'm having to pull it with a stationary wheel. It's not freely spinning. So really, you're better off always using just traditional belay techniques. You're gonna have a not smooth experience, especially with that, it jolts, it'll do an initial spin, lock, spin, lock, spin, lock, spin, lock. So you're getting this like fast, slow, and that actually feels like it's wearing out my shoulder even faster than when I do it with the GRIGRI. You know, that's just more consistent of a feel, and this is more jolty. Now that I have all three devices out, we might as well kind of compare them a bit. In terms of price, the NEOX is being sold for $150. The GRIGRI Plus is $140, and the GRIGRI is $110. Weight-wise, we've got the NEOX being the heavier of the three at 235 grams. We've got the GRIGRI Plus at 200 grams, and we've got the GRIGRI at 175 grams. As we read on the packaging, the NEOX is being positioned as ideal for lead belaying, and as you've seen with some of the initial rope tests that we did, it pays out slack like it's just melted butter. The GRIGRI Plus, again, it can do both lead and top rope belaying, but because of the features that it has, especially the blade mode dial that allows you to put it in top rope mode, it makes it super ideal for top rope belaying because it will more actively capture the rope when in top rope mode, which just makes keeping the rope taut for that climber and just not losing the slack that you've been pulling in. And then the GRIGRI is being positioned as remaining to be I just swallowed that fly. And the GRIGRI is positioned as being the versatile, good for lead belaying and top rope belaying. It's the lightest, it's the most compact. It's great for single pitch, it's great for multi-pitch because it's lighter weight and everything. You're more willing to take it on those bigger climbs. It remains to be kind of the gold standard that everything, even these two, are compared to. And so it's touted as the most versatile because it's a good quiver of one, it's a good jack of all trades. Even though these can do the same styles of belaying, they definitely just like rise and shine in their respective lead and top rope belaying. All right, let's go back to the packaging. Inside the packaging, you have the tech notice. These are super important to understand if you're using the devices correctly. And so I just wanted to dive in it real quick. You know, again, always reiterating, whether it's the GRIGRI, the NEOX, or GRIGRI Plus, or any of the other cam-assisted blocking devices out there on the market, you're going to see all the brands talk about use the brake hand, keep it on the brake strand. These are not hands-free devices, so pretty evident there. Don't pinch the device trying to pay out slack. Use good belay techniques. Overall, kind of the standard stuff in terms of how to load it, how to feed slack, how to take in slack, how it stops, you know. For the most part though, as you read in some of these other smaller prints, some of the things that you'll find out is that in no way is this device, the NEOX, or any of the other Petzl devices, in no way have they been designed for, tested for, or validated for self-belaying, whether it's lead rope soloing or top rope soloing. Not approved for that. So like I said, I have yet to take the final production version out and climbing, so that's going to be a whole other video in and of itself, of us just kind of showing it in a real life scenario where you're sitting there having to feed out slack while somebody's clipping unexpectedly and catching falls and so forth. Hopefully I'll be climbing with a bunch of different friends that are going to be experiencing this for the very first time, and we can get a lot of their input as well, what their first impressions and thoughts are on it. But overall, super excited for this, and I'm excited that I've been able to kind of give you this unboxing first impressions experience. But overall, this wheel, yeah, it may not be for everyone, but I can definitely see in a lot of ways how it's going to make my life happy. So definitely check this out. Find it at your favorite Petzl dealer. And until then, seek out the adventure in all that you do.